Okay, so here's the carburetor. I had an extra one. And what I didn't understand was, well, when I synced the carbs, and I got them synced, but then the idle was like at 2,000 sometimes. Most of the time it's like at 2,000. Occasionally it would dip back down. I could even hit my throttle, and when I was idling at a light, and I could push my throttle, and it would almost like push it down, and so that it would drop a little bit. So this is the throttle cable connection right here, and so you're looking on the right side of the bike, and it would sit in the bike. If I'm right next to the right side of the bike, it actually sits about like that, I guess, and pretty close to it, right? So, and the screw up underneath that you do to adjust when you're syncing the carbs is this little guy right here, right? And so you turn it to the right to increase the vacuum on the rear cylinder, on the rear carb, and you turn it to the left, turn it counterclockwise to reduce the vacuum. Well, when I first did it, the vacuum on the rear cylinder was way higher, and so I kept backing it off, and eventually I got them even. The problem was the idle. I could never get the idle down. Well, here's the idle screw, and if you look closely at the idle screw, this sucker never touches this anymore. It doesn't touch it, right? Because this guy right here doesn't do some mystical thing. This guy basically takes your, I don't even know what you call that, your mouth, right? So when you do it just lets more air in, right? Okay, so I sound like a total newbie here, but I've taken apart carburetors before, believe it or not. All right, so if you watch closely, what this screw does when you undo it, when you loosen it, it doesn't do anything magical, because here's your vacuum port right here, right? And there's a little hole right in there. There's a little hole right there, right? Because this is where I was that little hole. I was connecting up, this to my rear vacuum on my carb, on my little manometer I made. Now, if you watch in here, hopefully I can catch it. When there's a shit fly on me. So when I turn this when I turn it out to decrease the vacuum to get my manometer syncing up, I'm going to start decreasing. See that thing opening up? Alright, well, that's the same thing as giving it throttle, right? So that's why I can never get the damn idle down. So I don't know what the deal is. Something else wrong somewhere that, I don't know. Someone's got to tell me exactly what the deal is with syncing these carbs and not losing your idle. Because, for me, I want to adjust the front one now, because there's got to be something wrong with the front one, that there's such a big difference that adjusting the back one screws up my idle. See what I'm saying? So I had to push it back in again to get my idle back down to 1100. And the bike runs okay. It's just that vibrating at 3500 is when it kind of starts. I put a piece of rubber on between where my pegs, stop, just to get the vibration down a little bit. So I don't know. So there's the deal, if you wanted to know. So you got, this is where your throttle's connected, and it's just hitting against this thing, and this is just a piece of rubber, basically, right, that connects to a screw that just, when you screw it backwards, basically, it's just going to push that screw out. That's all it does, is it gives it more throttle up there. Well, that's all this does.